comes here, but I think it was very fair, and I think I agree with 100% of what these decisions were. So fifth place went to William Bonac, fourth place went to Hadi Chupin, and probably the biggest surprise of the night, third place went to Phil Heath, your seven-time Mr. Olympia, who came back looking for redemption. After losing in 2018, he came back trying to tie the record of Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman, and he fell quite a bit short of that. And this, to me, actually really gives me a lot of faith in the judging at the Olympia, because a lot of people were saying, because of politics, Phil's going to win. People want him to be 8-time Mr. Olympia. He's 7-time Mr. Olympia. He's got the advantage. The judges are going to want him to win. It's better for business if Phil wins. He's got this documentary coming up. People were saying it's rigged. I think this decision really affirms the fact that the judging is fair, because honestly, Phil was off. We got to admit it. His midsection was still an issue. It was clearly, I mean, he still had trouble controlling it. His lower body, especially when you compared him to Ramy, just really did not hold up. And look, a lot of people wrote off Brandon Curry. They said that Phil is just going to walk all over him and come in and take this title. And a lot of the conversation going into this show was that Phil was going to win. No one was even really talking about Ramy potentially winning. Ramy got the special invite. A lot of bodybuilders were even saying Ramy didn't deserve to be there because he didn't qualify. And here Ramy is winning the show. So Phil took third, Brandon took second, because I felt Brandon was in much better shape than Phil. I think his conditioning was better. His structure was better, obviously. He had much better control of his midsection during all the mandatory poses. And I think simply the judges didn't reward Phil for not improving upon the areas where everybody wanted him to improve. I think that's what it came down to, and I think this was a really, really good judging call. A lot of people thought Phil was just going to get the title because, hey, he's Phil Heath. Phil seemed very confident going into this, and I think this was the right call. Phil was off. I think Brandon was better. I mean, let's not overshadow the fact that Brandon just beat Phil here. Even though Brandon didn't win the Olympia, I think he still did a good job of defending the Olympia that he won by beating 7-time Mr. Olympia Phil Heath. I think Brandon really solidified himself as a real Mr. Olympia winner, because Phil was the guy that people thought was going to beat Brandon, and Brandon beat him. And I think Brandon actually beat him pretty easily. Looking back at the actual comparisons, Brandon was in much better condition than Phil, and I'm really proud of Brandon too. But let's talk about Big Ramy for a second here, because Big Ramy, that is the story of the night. Big Ramy did kind of the unbelievable here, what nobody really thought was possible, nobody was really talking about, and I could not be happier for Big Ramy. For years, people have been saying Big Ramy would be the next Mr. Olympia if Ramy just brought that conditioning. If Ramy came in how the fans knew he could come in, if he came in shredded, he would be undoubtedly the next Mr. Olympia. Ramy listened to the fans. He listened to the criticism. He did what everybody was asking of him. Ramy got the job done. He did what everybody wanted, and he got the reward that he deserved for it. Ramy won the 2020 Mr. Olympia, and I don't think there was any bodybuilder on that stage that deserved it or worked harder or went through more than Ramy went to get it. And I could not be happier with this outcome. I think Ramy is a deserving 2020 Mr. Olympia. And I think as much as we criticize bodybuilders and talk about where they're off or where they're weak or whatever, I think a bodybuilder should be praised when they do something right. And this time, Big Ramy really did something right. He listened to everybody. He gave us all what we wanted to see. And Big Ramy deserves the recognition. He deserves his title, and he deserves all the praise in the world for what he just accomplished. And I'm sure all his fans are going crazy right now. But Ramy, if you're watching this, you deserve it. We're all proud of you. We all think this was a very fair decision. You beat not only one, but three Mr. Olympias in this lineup. He beat Dexter too. Dexter, Phil, and Brandon to win his first Olympia title. He defeated 3 past Mr. Olympias, which is an amazing accomplishment. I think a lot of people forget about the fact that there were 3 Mr. Olympias in this lineup, and Ramy not only beat 1 or 2, again, he beat all of them, which I think is impressive as hell. So congratulations to Big Ramy. Now, next up in the news, let's get to Classic Physique. Classic Physique Another controversial decision, not controversial, but another one that wasn't really necessarily expected. In 5th place, you had Brian Jones. In 4th place, you had Alex Combernero. And again, just like men's open bodybuilding, the controversial result here was the 3rd place finisher, Breon Ainsley, in 3rd place. A lot of people were excited about Breon. He's a 2-time Mr. Olympia. He was very confident going into the show. He was very confident and very vocal at the press conference, saying he was superior to Chris in every aspect. And he looked really good in his preparation photos. He looked really good on Instagram. His prep photos looked great. He was in great shape. But that was not enough to not only be 2nd to Chris, but he was 3rd. And I don't think it was because he was in bad shape. I think it's like what I say all the time. I think the judging for classic physique is moving in a different direction than Breon's physique. It's moving more towards Chris Bumstead. And they're just moving away from Breon's look. I think Breon was in great shape. He brought a great package, but it wasn't good enough to be top 2. And coming in 2nd place was Terrence Ruffin. Ruff Diesel, one of my favorite competitors in this lineup. I might even like him more than Chris Bumstead. Everyone says I'm a Chris Bumstead fanboy. But Ruff Diesel, me and my buddy were watching him pose. He is the best poser in the IFBB, hands down. His freestyle posing routine for finals was one of the best I've ever seen. And I really think his posing is one of the things that puts him over the edge, because he really knows how to present his physique to make him look as best as he possibly can. And I just could not be happier at this outcome for him. Top 2, I believe he said his goal was top 3. He not only surpassed that, but he beat a former classic physique Mr. Olympia in Breon Ainsley and came 2nd to now 2-time Mr. Olympia Chris Bumstead, which brings me to 1st place. Chris Bumstead repeating. I don't think anybody can argue with this decision. Chris Bumstead was by far the best classic physique competitor on that stage. He is the most classic. I would say he's the most improved, most conditioned. I mean, Chris brought his A game to this show. I don't think anybody can argue that Chris has improved. He was not off. He was 100%. If anything, he was 110%. And I think everybody knew from the second that he walked out on that stage at prejudging that Chris was going to be the winner. And again, I'm not arguing with that. I don't think anyone can argue with that. I think Chris, he is a great classic physique Mr. Olympia. He's a great ambassador. He's very interactive with his fans. But more importantly, he's got an extremely classic physique. Vacuum pose, V-taper, conditioning, the whole 9 yards. But most importantly, a lot of people said that Breon is the better classic physique bodybuilder. They said that Chris shouldn't have beaten Breon last year. This year, Chris not only beat Breon, because in the past they were separated by a point, but he beat Breon decisively, not by a point, by an entire placing. And I know that's got to feel good for Chris. All that talk, all that chatter between Chris and Breon going into this show, and Chris beats him by an entire placing. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed all the Olympia coverage that I've given you, because I've really enjoyed watching it. I've enjoyed making it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Give the video a thumbs up for Big Ramy. I mean, and Chris Bumstead, too. I mean, who could be happier at this outcome? Big Ramy and Chris Bumstead, Mr. Olympia champions. I love to see it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.